Hello, welcome to Activist Collective. This is episode 41. This episode is dedicated in the memory of Alex Pretti, an amazing person, a kind and gentle soul, an outdoorsman. He was an ICU nurse at the Veterans Hospital in Minneapolis. He gave in service of the veterans who fought for this country, and my heart and the country and communities around the world. Our hearts break for the loss of life, the needless, senseless loss of life at the hands of state-sanctioned violence. Our heart goes out to Alex Pretti's family, and we still will never forget the family of Renee Nicole Good and her children who lost their mother to state-sanctioned violence. On with the show. Today is January 26th. It is like the, 359th day in the circle of fucking hell that is America. I had 41 recorded all ready to go, you guys, a week ago. Excuse me, I had maybe less than a week ago, a few days ago. And I had to stop what I was doing, stop editing, and completely re-record because nothing that I said matters more than the fact that the state is sanctioning the executions of American citizens who defy them in the streets of Minnesota. And I know that there are MAGA red hats out there who are going to be like, that's just hyperbolic. And it's not. That's exactly what happened, my friends. It's exactly what happened to Renee Good. And it is the egregiousness and the violence is the same with both cases and any case that comes from this point forward. But it is more clear. The visual evidence is more clear with the execution of Alex Pretti than it was with Renee Good. Not that they're not as valid, but the public can more easily see the violence that this Gestapo is operating with. I don't have to recap the events, but what I need you to know is that as a person with law enforcement training, every single police officer that was there should be tried. Every single one of them should be arrested, prosecuted, and tried. Their guns and their badges taken, and they should be placed on leave. They are apparently still, according to Greg Bovino, out in the field working. This is a dangerous situation for every single Minnesotan. And all we keep hearing from, people is go home, friends. Just go home. Just go home. So you mean go home and let them kidnap people here legally? Imagine if you were in trouble and everybody just went home. Like, I can't fathom the thought of, I understand why you would think, just go home. The man's going to do this. The president's going to do this. He wants you to do this. I understand that fear. But I also understand that I have watched this man for over a decade, and there isn't a single thing that will stop him from doing what he wants to do. Whether it's call down the military on the people or just the National Guard, he will find a way, come hell or high water, to get done what he wants to get done. So asking people to just go home so that it lessens the impact of ICE, no. The reason that people are getting involved is because there is a primal drive to protect the people in your pack, in your communities, which is what happened with Alex. You saw him putting his arms around those women. I mean, that was such a heroic thing to do. And I don't even want to go down this thing about men and women and protectors. He was just a person protecting his community. And that is such a primal instinct. I mean, that's what I would want to do with my neighbors. That is why I became a police officer, because my drive to protect people was so It's all I could think I wanted to do because I wanted to help people. I wanted to be the change. And everyone would say, why do you want to do that? Because you want a gun? And I would be like, no, take my gun. I don't even need the gun. I just want to be able to bridge a gap between the people and the law. And it just went right out the window. It went right out the window because, well, the law enforcement doesn't want that. That's not what law wants. And I know that there are still those good cops out there getting a bad rap. But here's the thing. If you are still wrapped up in law enforcement under the current conditions, you are still culpable for everything that happens. And I was too. I will never say, oh, I got out of it. No, I had to retire on PTSD because the job and everything that I saw drove me to becoming an alcoholic, and I was getting addicted to the medications I was on, and I had to retire, and I still suffer from PTSD, and watching all of this stuff is just sending me back and back and back, and I'm finding myself depressed, not wanting to get up, not wanting to do anything, feeling all the same feelings of when my world collapsed around me. This is such a triggering thing for me, but it needs to be talked about. I don't know if the family of Alex Pretti will ever hear this, but I need them to know that the community that I am a part of, sorry, there was a glitch, I'll have to cut it out, will never stop fighting for justice for Alex and for Renee and for anybody else that this happens to unjustly. Alex Pretti was executed in the streets, shot in the back because the ICE agents are not trained. They don't have the length of experience in the field to know what to do in an emergency situation. The guy behind him who took the gun fired it. I don't know if it was accidental or on purpose, but he did. There's video. He did. He pulled it out, turned around, and boom, shot one off at the ground. That instance, if you see the two videos side by side from different angles, the cop that shoots him in the back, the agent, jumps. He jolts, and then boom, 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 shoots him 3 times. Because I don't even know if he saw the agent take the gun. I don't know if he saw that. Because there were 8 motherfuckers piled on top of him. How could you see anything? How could you see anything? That was an attack. That was a blatant, felonious assault on an American citizen, and then it turned into a goddamn execution. He kept trying to get out of it. He kept turning around and putting his arms around those girls, and they yanked him back in. And they yanked him the fuck back in. So I do not want to hear from him, fucking maggot, telling me that you don't bring a gun to a protest. Yes, the fuck you do. In fact, bitch, you perfected it. The 2020 Stop the Steal rallies, every fucking rally, you bitches showed up armed to the nines, your fucking ARs draped across your chest every fucking time. In the house, the Michigan house, there's a picture of a line of fucking white supremacists with their fucking AR strapped across their chest at one of the biggest Stop the Steal rallies. Kash Patel, you don't bring a loaded gun to a protest. Meanwhile, in the past, in the same fucking town, Rittenhouse shoots 4 people and murders 1 or 2, I forget how many. Kash Patel's offering to pay his legal fees. Are you kidding me? The maddening rage that America feels right now. It is sheer fucking rage. You mix that rage with the crippling sadness that we feel right now, and we are a fucking powder keg. I need Minnesota to know that if every single American had the money and the means to get to Minnesota, there would have been hundreds of millions of people there. Hundreds of millions. Cold be goddamned. Because there's no way in hell we're going to stop fighting against these fascists who are kidnapping people because they're brown They're taking people who were allowed in on work visas under the Biden administration. Just because they were allowed in under Biden. They show up at their court hearing, booted. Do you know how many stories I'm hearing? I could show you a ton right now of MAGA who supported this deportation effort, even though they were married to or dating an undocumented immigrant, thinking, well, he did it the right way. We're going to be safe. And we said, are you kidding? You're going to bank your happiness, your life, your welfare, and your safety on a madman, a man who does nothing but lie? He's a pathological liar. And you want to bank your safety and your freedom and happiness on a word that man says? Get entirely fucked. So when they get deported, I feel sad for them, but then I have to think logically, you didn't listen to us. You fell for the culture war bullshit because you wanted to. You wanted to. It was a movement that had something in it for you, and it made you feel something. You hadn't felt that something in a long time, and you went with it. Watching Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino lie to the American people with the actual footage rolling next to the same words is wild to see. And if you haven't seen it, please go see it. I'm not going to add anything into this podcast. I just need for you and I to vent together. You and I need to feel these feelings, and we need to rage out. But what I need you to know also is that there is a mass exodus of MAGA from this execution. And I'm seeing it everywhere. And that's just the people willing to speak up publicly about it. And they're not speaking up and giving like their identity, but they're giving a first name, age, and location. You know, and I think now the Fortune 500 companies in Minnesota are getting involved. And they're pissed because now the boycotts are happening against their businesses. Look what they did to the Hilton Hotel last night. Excuse me. Look what they did to the Hilton Hotel because they found out that ICE agents were sleeping there. The murderer of Alex Pretti is a Texan. He wears a Texas patch on his back, and he is sleeping in that hotel probably. He needed to be drug out of that room and handed over to law enforcement or handled by the people. That's what could have happened to that man last night. And you know what didn't happen? Local police didn't show up. Nope. Federal agents had to crawl out of bed, bring in their MRAPs, and drop a bunch of tear gas. And guess what? It dispersed for a minute. And then around 1 a.m., that shit fired right back up. There is no business in Minnesota or in this country that should ever do business with the DHS, with ICE, or the federal government until there is accountability for Renee Good's murder and for Alex Pretti's execution. Shot in the back 3 times, and then when he's laid there dead already, unarmed, unfucking armed. Several of them unloaded more rounds into him. Are you trained? These fucking pigs. Who, you want to tell me they're trained? They're highly trained. Eat my ass. Those aren't trained. What are they trained with? Fucking Call of Duty? Is that their level of training? Because that's what it sure looks like. Murdering people like it's a fucking video game with no care in the world. Here's what ought to happen. And I know my way around a court. I know my way around a prosecutor's office. I know my way around a warrant. Mary Moriarty, the prosecutor of Hennepin County, where all this is happening, she's already doing the best she can. She's asking for videos and to investigate. She's investigating. She needs to gather a grand jury. She needs to gather a grand jury, present the evidence to this grand jury. They're going to charge him. Both of them. They will charge both of them. You enter that warrant. You are wanted for homicide. And then you just keep that warrant active against these people. She still has to identify the guy who executed, the multiple people who executed Alex Pretti. But you let that warrant stay against them for the rest of their lives. They will not be able to go across state lines. They will not be able to purchase a gun. They will not be able to go to another country because there will be a warrant for homicide on their fucking name. And if they change their name, we'll find that out too. And we will keep entering warrants against your name for the entirety of your fucking life. And you can guarantee, friends, that those officers, those agents, I'm sorry, I know you don't like when I call them officers, those agents, whatever they are, I don't want to call them pigs. They will be spending out the rest of their days behind bars. I don't care if they get in there when they're 80 or they get in there when they're 50. This will catch up to them. I promise you. You don't get to take a life in broad daylight, execution style, with 100 cameras rolling and get the fuck away with it. I don't care who says it's okay, who tries to cover it up. The people saw it. You cannot tell us to deny what our eyes have seen, and we will not. And we will hold you accountable. And we still need to find out which officer it was, which multiple officers it was that killed Alex Pretti. That needs to be the priority right now. The priority is finding out which officer removed his gun, which officer it was that was fucking with him in the street when he was trying to protect those two women who pulled him back into the fight, that felonious assault, because there was no need for that. There was no need for that. Those agents were fucking with people who had whistles, and he got in there and was like, leave him alone, leave him alone. And because he did that, that agent went fucking rogue on him and started dragging him back into the fight. He kept trying to get out. They drag him back in and then executed him. So we need to find out the officer who pulled the gun, the officer who initiated the fight, the officer who fired the first 3 rounds into his back, and the other 2 officers who kept firing. Everybody in that fucking dog pile needs to be identified. And the people will find out. The people will find out. It is best to just come forward, take accountability, and find your ICE agency and DHS agency less 2 men or more. They need to be off the fucking streets. They need to have their gun and their badge taken. They'd be off the fucking streets, and they need to be tried. If they're so innocent, Christy Noam, put them in front of a grand jury. Let a judge decide if they're so fucking innocent. But you know what? They need to be charged at state level, because if they're charged at federal level, they will be pardoned. You can guarantee it. They will be fucking pardoned. So, yeah, it needs to be the priority of the people to find the identity of the people who executed Alex Pretti in the street. That needs to be, I don't know where Anonymous is. Where's Anonymous? Where's the people who are cataloging the people on the payroll? And I don't mean find them and bring them to vigilante justice. I mean find them, hand the name over to Mary Moriarty, and let her do the work from there. That's what needs to happen. I hope that Mary Moriarty has that information, but I highly doubt it. There is a warrant, a petition in the courts that's trying to stop the federal government from destroying evidence from the scene. They never did. They never did any CPR on that man, on Alex. They never did. The lady's like, let me help. I have CPR training. He's like, I'm an EMT too, ma'am. And all he did was go, where's the gun? Where's the gun? I need to get the shirt off. And then some fucking doofy fucking agent runs and slips on the ice because, bitch, it's fucking icy in Minnesota. He runs and slips on the ice. And they start counting bullet holes. Where's the gun? Where's the gun? The gun was never there. There is an uncut video from the time he's murdered to the time that dude comes over and starts doing fake CPR and shit on him. And they're like, where's the gun? Where's the gun? So you know that the gun was never there. The gun was never there from the time he was murdered to the time he lay in the street and EMTs picked him up. That whole time, that car that they were doing that in front of, there was a woman in that vehicle. She could have been murdered because they don't care where their bullets go. They don't give a fuck, obviously. She could have been murdered, but there's a bird's eye view from her camera, an uncut, unedited video. It was a goddamn state-sanctioned murder. And now the 2A fucking club are like, you shouldn't bring a gun to a protest. Since when? Since when? You're allowed to in most states. There are states where you can't, but even after Kyle Rittenhouse showed up across state lines with a gun that wasn't his, underage, murdering people, and he still got off, they didn't change that rule. So you can still bring your gun to a protest. But the bottom line, friends, and I've heard Minnesotans say this, and we need to make this clear, it was not a protest. That is every day in Minneapolis. There's agents everywhere, people blowing whistles everywhere from area to area, street to street. This is every day. And it's not a protest. These are constitutional observers who are simply notifying the public, ICE is here, and they're allowed to. And they're recording for this reason, which is why they don't want them recording. This exact reason, because they want to be able to murder people, kidnap people, deny them due process without anybody or the American people or the world seeing it. That is why. Let's take a break. So like I was saying earlier before I got pulled off into a tangent is that I'm seeing this mass exodus of MAGA from the movement after this event. And they're actively posting their stories over at BuzzFeed.com. And they have a Google document where you can enter your name, your state, and location, and you can enter your story. And there are so many stories. They keep the stories are different every time I come here. This one says, my mom recently stopped supporting him. She was one of the biggest MAGA fans. We're Hispanic. She even bought a Trumpy bear and merch and would wear it everywhere. We are both into politics. In these last few months, she has become so upset with the rising cost of groceries, lack of accountability. Epstein was the final straw for her. She said, we will likely vote Democrat for the first time in her life. This person says, I voted for Trump because of all the hype he threw out about illegals. In the last year, the prices of groceries, rent, and healthcare has gotten out of control. Building a huge ballroom that no one wants while others starve is what brought me to my knees. We, the people, will be paying off this huge mistake we've made in putting him back in the Oval Office. People don't remember what it's like when people died from polio, measles, croup, chickenpox. This is just a group of overfed and overweight trillionaires and billionaires that don't give a shit about anyone or anything that doesn't bring in money to them. I mean, these are brand new entries. And there's more. If you go over on, I've told all of you about this, you should go over there. And if you're on Reddit, follow the Leopards Ate My Face subreddit. There's new stuff over there all the time. And I'm seeing all kinds of stories being added every single day. But today and yesterday, it was an influx. I've never seen this amount before. This person says, secretly, I wanted Trump to win over Kamala. She's too woke. And now I'm so embarrassed. It's everything Congress told him. It's everything. Congress told him to sell TikTok. He won't. It's the parade of pardons. It's Ukraine. Then it was the Nobel Peace Prize. Then the ballroom. What do those do for anyone? Inflation and costs? We found out during the shutdown that there is not even a plan, an outline, or a set of priorities for healthcare. What does healthcare do for Trump after all, right? Nada. So skip it. Sometimes he lucks out into a good move. I don't even think that. I really don't even think that. I think a goddamn golden retriever could do a better job. I really do. I don't know. Let me read you one more. This one was my favorite. I got to find it. Sometimes it disappears because, see, sometimes it disappears. Bear with me. This one says the Epstein files, the children of Gaza. That was their last straw. This one says, what does this say? There's one common thing among these. It started to affect them. They don't give a damn about what he's doing to other people. They never did. They only care now because they have to pay more in groceries, etc. They don't give a damn about ICE kidnapping people. They don't give a damn about the dangers for, oh my God, it scrolled up. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut this out. Okay, BuzzFeed, you're messing with me. Hold on. I'm going to get to some more. Stand by. The Independent just dropped a new article saying that they're hearing from inside the agency that morale is plummeting after the murder of Alex Pretti. I don't doubt that because anybody with any long-standing experience will know that that was fucked up. I mean, anybody with any experience in law enforcement will watch those videos and all those angles and go, that was an execution. So being a part of this organization, you now are a representation of that execution of an American citizen by state sanctioned thugs. I mean, you are a part of that, dude. That's all you. I'm sorry, you're watching. I'm going through this in real time with you because I want to find it. This guy shows a picture of himself burning his MAGA hat. Posted last night. Says, I voted for Trump. I support most of his policies. I agree with conservatives most of the time, but I will not partake in this. If exercising your Second Amendment right warrants your death, if rendering aid to your fellow countrymen warrants a death sentence, if constitutional rights take a back seat to administrative policies or infringements are a justified means to an end, I will not partake. And if you can justify his murder, you'll justify mine. This is Amy. She said this yesterday. I don't say this lightly. I can no longer support Trump. The actions carried out by ICE are wrong and inhumane. The leadership is responsible for this, and accountability matters. So does humanity. There was a time when I felt I could support Trump, even if I didn't agree. The cruelty, the lack of humanity, the suffering of families is not something I can justify or look away from. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about basic human decency, and I can't support anybody who allows that to be violated. Again, Amy, I know that the death of a man brings, but what about the death of Renee Good? That was an execution. That was blatant, and they lied with that through that one too. The denial of access to the crime scene, that is such a blatant, you're screaming you're guilty. You are screaming guilt when you do that. Again, yesterday, right, I don't know, I guess it'd be like midnight when I open this. Grace says, I would like to hear from other Trump supporters. How are you feeling about the last 3 weeks with ICE shootings and murders? Because I no longer can support a president that shows no remorse and continues to allow this to go on. I'm beyond sad. My heart is hurting. And to be clear, yes, I've been a libertarian for many years and also a Trump supporter for several years. I have my reasons, and now I'm not. Greg, yesterday, I voted for Trump this time around because I was sick of the left moving left, but mark my words, if he doesn't pull in the reins on those animals that he calls ICE agents and go about deportations in a more controlled manner, this will be the end of Republicans in power. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but that's what's going to happen. Oh, Greg, you can say it's wrong. Greg, just say it, friend. If you don't stand up, friends, America, if you don't stand up and say that was a fucking execution sanctioned by the taxpayers of this country, if you don't stand up and say it, then they're going to keep fucking doing it. Greg, you pussy. That one was, 8 hours ago. I don't have my glasses. 8 hours ago, Jeremy's a big, burly, bearded man. He says, I'm a Republican and I voted for Trump. I'm usually the first person to law enforcement's defense, especially since I've been in those types of situations. With the comments made this morning by Republicans make me sick. I've watched all the videos, all the views, even watched the events leading up to it and the events following it. The guy did not approach Border Patrol. They approached him. CBP escalated while he tried to de-escalate. The administration needs to backtrack, take politics out of it, and handle this professionally before they lose a lot of Republicans on this one. Fuck political affiliations. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Simple as that. In this moment, your actions will speak louder than your words. Right, Jeremy? But can you put your foot down and say, I will never vote again for this administration so long as it is in the hands of this criminal mastermind, this crook, this con man? Mengen Dinaw. Mengedegnaw. First name is blocked out because Reddit users stop blocking out their names. I know you say they'll take it down, but they don't always. This was yesterday when I voted for Trump. It wasn't because I believed in some brilliant leader. I voted because I didn't want drag queens performing for school kids. I voted because I didn't want my daughter sharing a locker room with boys in the name of inclusion. I voted because I couldn't accept the idea of children being pushed toward irreversible gender surgeries before they even understand life. I voted because while the U.S. struggles with cocaine and fentanyl destroying communities, the government was busy sending millions of condoms to other countries. All of this felt like common sense, and Trump knew exactly how to use these failures to his advantage. He didn't win on competence. He won because the leadership before him was so disconnected from reality that people chose him out of frustration. For a moment, he slammed the brakes on the madness, but the truth is he still is a corrupt billionaire with his own agenda, and now he's causing chaos across the world. One crisis after another. People thought they were voting for change, but all they got was a different version of dysfunction with a louder mouth and a bigger spotlight. Pages, you guys, pages and pages and pages and pages of people. All the way up from 5 days ago, but mostly from right at like hours after they executed Alex Pretti. A lot of these people are still disillusioned. Like that person right there. What was her name? Tiffany. And to any other person who says, yeah, I can understand that. You're still falling for the culture war shit. Okay? If a drag queen wants to read to children, they're doing it at the discretion of the parents. And you need to understand you are not their parents. If you don't want to see your child read to by a drag queen, don't go to a goddamn drag queen story time. It's so fucking simple. They had you believing that drag queens were coming in and, swooping into schools and trying to read to school children. No! You guys, drag is an art form. It is a form of art. They come in and they're done and they're big and they have big makeup and big hair, big personalities, and they're like a walking cartoon. Right? There are female drag queens, mostly male drag queens, but they are entertainment. And these drag queens, I know so many of them, are truly loving souls. They are caring, kind individuals who do it because of the love of the art and because they love children. It is not some perverse, fucking whacked out, scheme to get kids into sex trafficking rings the way Donald Trump and his cronies do. Right? They scoop kids, little girls up off the street who are poor, who need, a shot at life. And they promise her all the riches in the world. And then they, according to Sasha, they unalive them and dump their bodies in a farm somewhere. I don't know. Falling for the culture war shit still. If Republicans just minded their own fucking children. Mind your own motherhood, ladies. Dads, mind your own fatherhood. If you don't want your kid going to a drag queen story hour, then by God, don't take them. No one's going to force your child to go to a drag queen story time, you dipshits. God damn. Okay, and in the interest of keeping this not so long that you don't want to listen to me anymore, I want you to know I'm raging with you. You guys, I love you so much. We are raging together. We are hurting together. We are crying together. We are fighting together. We are resisting together as one big community. And we will continue doing this because as long as I have breath in my body, it is not right what is happening in this country, and I will speak it. I will say it. Because this is not fair. That our children have to grow up under fascist dictatorship and Christian nationalist rule while we were able to live in freedom. I will not fucking stop. Friends, I love you. I'm sorry. Hold your families close. Hug and love on your babies. Be thankful for what we have. And when I was telling you months and months ago to make community, I hope that you did. Because it's going to be more important now than ever. If you do find community, find a way to take it off the internet, okay? Get in a text thread. Get some way, some meeting time. Alcoholics Anonymous do. They have a Tuesday meetup at 3:30 or whatever at some place. Do that. Bring a friend. Say, this is what we do. Come meet us. You plan out this. You plan out that. What happens if this? We're going to be here. You know what I'm saying? You got to make that community. So, friends, I love you. I want you to do everything that makes you smile today and find something to do good for your soul. I find volunteering is a good outlet for that. Do your best to have a good week. And friends, last thing before we go, as always, all of the work that I do here, I do by myself. I do free of charge. So donations are greatly appreciated. The QR codes can be found at the end of this. If you're watching it, you can scan for Cash App and Venmo. And if you're watching on Apple, just find any one of my socials, and in my link tree there are pay apps. If you wish to donate, if you can donate, it goes towards either upgrading this studio or groceries and bills. It is deeply appreciated, anything that you do. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful week.